topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Join your host, who is a multiple #1 international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer. She's the founder of Genuinely-You and has 30 years experience of helping people step into their genuine, authentic power. And now, here is Gina Gardner, your host of Leadership for Life.
Hello there, and welcome to W4CY TV and Radio. We've got a great show for you today. I'm really pleased to be joined by my guest in the second part of the show, and that's Tonya Mackenzie. She's got so much experience to offer you. Now, on Monday, it's International Women's Day, and our focus today is embracing your feminine energy and leading the way, and for women to see themselves as successful leaders. We're going to focus on personal and professional success, leadership, and the emergence of feminine energy. For centuries, masculine energy has predominated, but there are things that are changing. Now, I want to make something very clear right from the start. We all have masculine and feminine energy, and this in no way is an anti-man thing. It's about both men and women recognizing the balance between their feminine energy and their masculine energy and moving away from this hard separation, competition, just being that linear line of thought that is so masculine, and actually recognizing that enlightened leaders, whether you're leading your life or your business, is about leading with compassion and focusing on how we can find creative ways forward, because it's in that feminine creativity and compassion, feminine energy, remember, not just women, that we will find new ways forward. You'll have heard me say, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And so this is about, let's find a new way. Let's find a way that works for everybody. Let's find a way that works for you as an individual, for you within the context of your personal relationships, but also let's find a way where you can be successful within your business. And that's where my guest is going to be so powerful, because she's got over 20 years experience and she's going to share with you. She's got an amazing lady, but that's for a little bit later. So as we move into a new era of consciousness, we need to do things in a different way. We need to think about those things that we have associated with feminine energy. Compassion. I've talked a lot about having compassion for yourself. We are our worst critics, and if you are not compassionate to yourself, and I'm talking about compassionate, not indulgent, that ultimately you are then better able to help others. I believe there are many people who are recognizing that life is about so much more than just finances, wealth. Your net worth is not your true worth. You know, your bank balance does not represent you as a person, your success, how you operate within the world. But I want to spend some time before the break and speaking to Tonya about how many women I've worked with who came to me feeling that they were not fulfilling their true potential or their purpose, that they were worried about how other people perceived them and indeed how they perceived themselves. And they talked about the glass ceiling within business. And what I've recognized from working with so many people is that very often the glass ceiling was the one that they imposed upon themselves. That yes, of course, there were constraints and they very often had to be and be seen to be better than their male counterpart. However, their belief about that glass ceiling then put them in the situation where they failed to apply for jobs, or they failed to sell themselves when they applied for jobs because their expectation was, well, the man's going to get it. And so it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I think so often it's our beliefs that we put in the way. And there are men who do it too. It's not just a female thing. But there is so much talk, isn't there, about, in terms of business success, how often women are passed over because they're of childbearing years, or they have got children and they've got to think about how they're going to care for those children. Because generally speaking, it's women who pick up the childcare responsibility more so than men. Not always, and I am generalizing, but more women than men find themselves, if a child is ill, that it's them that takes the time off, or it's them that actually takes time, after all, it's them who has the baby, that they take time to be with their baby and their small children. And that has a consequence in terms of their business. I was talking to one of my friends, and who's also a speaker. She's been on the show, Deborah Thorne, who is the CEO, not the CEO. And she talks about companies, her own included, where if there is a meeting and a woman's got a baby, then they're invited to bring the baby in. There's a crib in the corner and a play area in the corner of the office. And I think we need to create the opportunity for women to see themselves not as equals. I don't think we are equals. I think there's a great difference between equality and being equals. We are different, and it's time to celebrate our differences. Now, do I believe in equal pay for equal work? You damn right bet I do. If you are thinking about people having the opportunity to fulfill their potential, whatever that might be, male or female, then I think that's really important. Ultimately, though, the most important person who has to believe in us is us. If you don't believe in yourself, then you're going to present yourself in a very, very different way than if you don't. If you believe in yourself, you are going to hold yourself differently. You're going to emit an energy. I was listening to something the other day about empaths, and I do quite a lot of work with people who are empaths. And it was talking about how would it be if, instead of measuring people's success by their bank balance, that if they measured their success in terms of their energy and how much they were able to help others and to give other people support and help in their growth, as well as growing for themselves. And I thought, what a different world it would be if we actually talked about our energy and how we show up in the world in a very different way. And I think we have the opportunity. The pandemic has given us time to take stock. What are the important values? What is it that you value? And I know, having talked to so many people, particularly clients, who it's given them an opportunity to reset their life according to their values. So relationships, the capacity to be free to go where you want to, the capacity to take stock and to enjoy the natural world in a way that people were too busy to do before, has all given people the opportunity to reset the button. And I think moving forward, that there is an opportunity for all of us to embrace our feminine energy, to also acknowledge and embrace our masculine energy, but not to diminish that energy which is around compassion and care and creativity. And you know, one of the things that struck me over the years working with women, particularly in the corporate field, is how many of them believed that in order to be successful, they had to behave like less hairy men. And often they were very critical and unsupportive of other women because that made them feel that they were being more like those who are successful. And it seems to me that all of us, men and women, and those who assign a different gender to themselves, This is about being authentic. This is about being able to walk your talk, being able to own your potential and to grow it, to step into your genuine power, and through that to see and nurture the potential of other people. And in doing so, that gives us the very best platform for us to grow and to be successful in a sustained and sustainable way that isn't dependent upon knocking somebody else down, that isn't dependent upon destroying the environment. Because those people who come from a place of compassion and care will recognize that we need to protect our world. We need to support and nurture one another. After the break, Tonya Mackenzie is going to come in and she's going to give you her take. She's an amazing lady. She's a gun survivor. So don't go away. We'll see you straight after the break.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-u.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email Gina at genuinely-u.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
Hi there. I'm so excited to introduce my guest to you. I want to read you her bio. It's an amazing one. Tonya Mackenzie, a 20-year vet in the public relations and leadership game, is the founder and principal consultant for Sand and Shores. Tonya holds various leadership positions, including board of directors of the Redondo Beach Chamber of Commerce, president of the North Redondo Beach Business Association, and VP of Black Public Relations Society, Los Angeles. Tonya is an author, a gun violence survivor, and a child advocate. So, without more ado, I'd like to welcome Tonya to the show. Hello there. Thanks so much for joining us, especially as you've been poorly.
Well, I am blessed to be here. The simple fact that I can still be here with you today is a testament to female power, right? And our positive and restorative energy.
Absolutely. Now we are on the verge of International Women's Day, so it seemed very fitting that we were going to talk today. I wonder, before we get started on the businessy part of things, would you share your story? Because it's an incredibly powerful one. And I think is a testament to your strength and your capacity to recover, to be resilient.
You know, when I was about 5, my mother and her boyfriend were asleep, and his son and myself were watching Saturday morning cartoons. You know that thing that just makes you so innocent and vibrant when you're young. You get excited about everything. There was a knock at the door, and it sounded familiar, but when you're a kid, you can't answer the door. My mom opened the door to someone she knew, and he and his friends came into our home and shot her and her boyfriend and left those bodies there with those two children and ran out. My mother was transported to the hospital, but that had been the last time that I saw her. So I didn't know if she was dead or alive, actually. They took me back to my grandmother's house. And for a long time, a couple weeks, even, I thought my mother had passed away until we were reunited on a plane one evening. And I was in a federal witness protection program until that case subsided. So I became an author in my adulthood, actually a few years ago, and I was doing some research about the crime and what had happened, because I spent my young adult years in victim services. So it's important to know here in California or most places, if you're a victim of a violent crime, they have victim services for you. So part of my research during my book was finding out the totality of the crime, because, I'm a storyteller and I really wanted to understand what happened and why people would do things like this. And during that research, what I found out, because I was very curious about what happened to that young boy that was with me that day, right? He's actually in prison, doing life in prison for triple homicide. So when we talk about gun violence and generational dysfunction, it really took a toll on me how two people that can go through similar circumstances have two completely different outcomes, right? So you can lean on maybe that feminine energy and how women are resilient and how they choose to pivot. Even in my early stages of life, I didn't recognize that was what I was doing. But we take circumstances all the time and we decide how it should turn out, or at least what direction you take in going with that. So it was pretty interesting. Most of the story is in the book, and there's still some of it I'm still researching, but I think the most dynamic thing in this whole process was finding out how different our lives turned out in similar circumstances, right? And I mean, completely similar. His father, my mother, this is what we witnessed as young people. And who did you decide that you were going to become, even with these circumstances? So, that's my early life story. And I look at it and it really gives me pause on how us women tend to take on this life and everything that's given to us, and how we decide with subconsciously even how it's going to turn out, or how we're going to use that energy, that negative energy, that nasty energy, and use it to propel us or move us in a whole different direction.
It's really interesting, isn't it? How choice by choice, moment by moment, you determine the direction of your life. And at the time you make those choices, you very often have no idea where that's going to take you.
None.
And seemingly inconsequential decisions. And I think very often it's the times when we choose not to choose actively. We just let things drift, that the worst things happen. And I'm very relieved to, that you are able to share that story. I mean, I come from the UK, where guns are not common. If there is a crime with guns, it's very newsworthy because it's not something that we commonly have. But it doesn't matter whether it's a gun or a knife or it's an awful situation. People have circumstances in their life where they can choose to take the line of least resistance and continue that cycle of violence, or they can choose to use it in a different way. And I'd be really interested to know that, from your formative years, how have you got from there to where you are now? Because by anybody's measurement, you are an incredibly successful woman. So what happened between you becoming an adult and you being in this situation now where you support and help other people?
I think the first part of it was also not just deciding what you're going to do, but what you're not going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have boundaries for yourself. You have to have goals and aspirations, which also helps you decide, this is what I'm not going to do, or this is how I'm not going to handle certain things. And then it just becomes a matter of which path are you going to take to do the things that you want to do. So one of the things that I became very clear about in my late teen years, so during my college years, is I experienced happiness, right? I experienced joy. And once you've experienced that and you've really allowed yourself to, God, feel it in its totality, you really don't ever want to go back. But even more important is you recognize when you're not happy, and you recognize that that's not that euphoric feeling that I enjoyed. It's almost like a natural high, right?
Yeah.
And you're always searching for that. So I was looking for, the thing, the career that would allow for me to feel those types of emotions, joy and excitement. And I've always loved helping other people, especially people that have been through some things. So as a publicist, I'm a PR and leadership consultant. Being able to help other people tell their story, get their story out into the world, find the elements of their story that is so impactful, because we don't always know the important parts, right? We always think many times, and I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or not, but we think our story is so insignificant, or it's just it's
just who we are, isn't it?
We can't always recognize our own significance and our own brilliance. So telling your story to an objective individual and allowing for them to say, wow, really? Oh my God. That is something that I do for others now, is I get to hear their story and then help them pick out the pieces that really resonate with others to help them grow their business, or find their leadership voice, their thought leadership, talk them through how they are unique and how they approach problems. But being able to do that is important because people can't do it for themselves.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it? That I've interviewed so many guests, and I've been interviewed and had it said to me in terms of my own story, isn't that incredible? But it's so often you hear the phrase, but it's just what I do. And I think you're so right that it's only when somebody externally gives you a measure of how that sits in the grand scheme of things that very often people can see their magnificence and especially
for someone that hears so many different stories, it allows for you to even show them comparisons or show them where they stand out and sparkle because of so many people that you've been able to encounter in your life, and help that piece of it. It gives hope. It gives opportunity. It gives a level of confidence that maybe was not there before, to let people know that, yes, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. But all of those things are highly important. And most of us don't seek it out until, we're just confused and we're not sure. And it's good to have someone that's objective that can say, that was absolutely amazing. Like, oh my God, how did you do that?
And I think for many people, they don't ever have the experience of somebody else validating their story and recognizing it. They feel they have no voice, that they are unseen. And I think that's one of the sadnesses. I'd like I asked you to come up with the title that you would like for this interview, and it was Ladies Lead the Way. Leadership is Newsworthy. And I'd like you to expand on that, if you would, because I also believe that it is going to be ladies who was it the Dalai Lama said that the world is going to be, the solution to the problems is going to be found by Western women. And so just talk us through Ladies Lead the Way leadership is newsworthy. What's your take on that?
Couple of things. Working in public relations, many women do not recognize that public relations is something that every businesswoman needs. Every businesswoman needs it. You don't always need an agency, but you need to know how to tell your story and you need to know who to tell it to. Because I am here in Los Angeles, many people feel like everything they're doing is newsworthy. It's just amazing. And I need to be a star. And I don't know why I'm not on the front page of every magazine, right? The problem is we have to set standards for what's newsworthy.
Yeah.
And that comes with a level of thought leadership. What are you doing differently than other people? More importantly, I ask, who are you and why should I care? That is something you should be able to explain to people.
Yeah.
About you and what you're doing. So then we look at why leadership is newsworthy. Because you're doing it different. You're not doing what others are doing. You're not solving the problem. It's like a math problem. People have these math problems. There's so many solutions. No solution is wrong if you get to the right answer, but how are you different and how are you paving a path that's different than others? And if you look at those that are in the news, most of them are doing something in a unique way. So one, it helps promote for women to find their own identity. You do not have to be like other people in order for you to be newsworthy. You need to be original and you need to be confident in your path to getting to that right answer and how that affects other people. Your leadership is newsworthy if you are being authentic.
Yeah.
And ladies leading the way is a huge moniker that I've come up with since COVID, right? A couple of things. One, my niece is in politics and she always would call and talk about things that she would come up with, but it seemed like no one in the room was listening. And then when a man says it, all of a sudden it's the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Frustrated. But that happened not just in politics, but it happens in tech. It happens in just about every room in business. And, you know, I think I was in a moment of frustration. I was just like, we have to start, especially now since everything's been, electronic and we're meeting on Zoom and we're doing interviews on Zoom. And there's an opportunity for ladies to really lead the way. And my lead is 2 L's, LLEAD. And that's look the part. I think we got a little comfortable in COVID and, people start showing up looking like they just woke up. No. I need you to lean in. I need you to look the part in which you are speaking about. I need you to let them know that you're here to shine. You ain't in your pajamas. Lean into this conversation and you let people know that you are here. Lean, the other L is leaning into your life experience. It's important. Why, when I said, who are you and why should I care? Your life experience is important. That is significant. And you should be comfortable with that. Part of that is many of us aren't comfortable with our life experiences, sharing them. We have a fear of judgment. But don't you know that your life experience lends to why I want to talk to you in the first place, lends to why I would lean on your expertise? Lean into that. Incredibly important. And E is, again, your experience is everything. A, be audacious about what you know. You don't have to lean back. You don't have to be shy about it. But also acknowledge the problem. Be audacious about what you know and acknowledge. Our leadership here in America, I'm sure has been
interesting.
A little shy on those that will actually acknowledge the problem, right? We want to talk around it. We're scared to say this is the issue. Because, it might take a level of work that you're not comfortable with or you don't know how to fix. But it doesn't matter because if you surround yourself with people that are smarter, even smarter than you, acknowledging the problem shows a level of confidence in those that you surrounded yourself with. I can see the problem. I can acknowledge it. If I can't fix it myself, I have covered myself with a bunch of knowledgeable individuals that can help me with this problem. And D is deliver. We have to deliver results. That's really how we lead in this new age. We have to show up. We have to lean in. We have to be okay with our experience, acknowledging the problem, and then delivering on those answers. When women do that, we do not lose.
No.
We do
I
not
think
lose.
it's a very powerful message that you give. And I'd just like to unpick a few things. One is, I think that expecting to be listened to makes a huge difference. That, you know, in those meetings, that if your contribution is that you're in your authority or in your power and you deliver that message in a way that says, I expect you to listen to me because what I have to say is worth listening to, you are going to be far more likely to be listened to. But I love the way that you talk about leaning in, because I think so many, and embracing your experience, because so many people dismiss it.
Yes.
And I think owning who you are authentically and being prepared to share that, and at times the vulnerable bit of you too, I think gives you such power and such strength. So it's a really great model. One of the questions that I'd like to ask you is, what do you think, given that you've had the most amazing experiences, what do you think is your biggest life lesson?
My biggest life lesson, and I live by this, I use conversation to simplify complex issues. You can't be afraid to have conversations. You can't be afraid to ask the questions in order for you to receive a level of understanding, and listen to hear and not just listen to respond. And if more of us can do that and be very receptive, even learn tricks that will help you, because most people, they know, you know your face, you know your reaction to things that are different. Find techniques that keep you from being so offended and learn to, again, lean in and just listen. And then feel that before you respond. And then if you're not sure, ask the questions. Because right now, with racial tension and our medical upheaval that's going on with COVID, and just the disjointed way that we've had to live over this last year and a half, it allows for that kind of change in your life, right? We have knowledge that we need better understanding of ourselves, of others, of our countrymen. This is a good time to check yourself and learn that we can be so much better if we learn to use conversation for what it's for, to communicate ideas, emotions, feelings, and don't be so hard on yourself when you don't understand. Ask. Because people that are really looking to be heard or looking to be understood will answer, and it will be better. So even with things that happen with my parents while I'm researching the book, things that happen with law enforcement and African Americans, there's so many issues that continue to just percolate to the surface. It only makes sense that we become better listeners and better communicators and learn to simplify these complex issues through conversation.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that too, that be able to listen and listen openly without your own beliefs and prejudices getting in the way, that being prepared, that you don't have to necessarily agree, but if you don't have the conversation, then there's no chance of moving forward, is there?
Ever.
No. I'm really conscious of time, and we could talk for days, I suspect, and not run out of things to talk about. Where can people get hold of you?
I'm so easy to find on social media. I'm Tonya Mackenzie, PR. So TonyaMckenzie, PR. You can always find me at TonyaMckenzie.com. Sand and Shores, if you need any help with your PR, storytelling, content creation. I love putting together panels of different people that are really dialoguing about some of those deeper things that affect us all. But I mean, pretty easy to find. You can even Google me. But
And we'll make sure all of your details are in the show notes.
I
One last thing.
appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
It's been such a
met
pleasure.
early on, I was just like, she's the most intriguing thing. I love this lady.
Thank you. Just one thing, the people who listen to the show know that Genuinely You is a member of B1G1, but buy one, give one. And so one of the things that I do is I ask my guests to choose from 3 projects run by B1G1, and we donate on behalf of B1G1. And your donation is all about clean water, and I think that should be a right for everybody. So I'm going to go into the break and I'll explain about the clean water after the break. But thank you so much. It has been a great pleasure. The other thing about B1G1 is every 100 people that listen, that Genuinely You feeds somebody who's hungry. So please share this. Get it out there. The downloads will be on the W4CY TV YouTube channel, but also on iHeartRadio and lots of other platforms. But it just remains for me to say before the break, Tonya, you have been a joy. Thank you so much. And I'm sure we're going to have you back on the show again. Take care.
Yes. You guys take it easy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Don't go away. I'll see you after the break. Bye-bye now.
You have been listening to Gina Gardner on Leadership for Life. We'll be back after this quick break. Want to get the best out of life personally and professionally? Are you ready to step into a life which excites and fulfills you? Well, the right place for you is Leadership for Life with Gina Gardner on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. We will share with you stories from inspiring people, a wide range of guest experts, and lots of practical strategies to help you get the very best out of your personal and professional life. Leadership for Life is a radio and TV show focused on helping you live a happier, more successful, and fulfilling life. Join international best-selling author, motivational speaker, empowerment and transformational leadership coach and trainer, Gina Gardner, live every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Become the leader of your own life. Gina Gardner's #1 international best-selling book, Thriving Not Surviving, The 5 Secret Pathways to Happiness, Success, and Fulfillment, provides you with the foundational principles on which to become the best leader of your own life. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and as an audio from genuinely-you.com, or also from Amazon. Every one of the principles have been proven to work for the countless people who have used them, including the author. Now, let's put them to work for you. If you're ready to discover your true leadership life design, accelerate your journey with an invitation to join Gina for a Leadership for Life VIP Day. Choose your journey of self-discovery where Gina will help you navigate your way to happiness, success, and fulfillment. To find out more, email gina@genuinely-you.com. Welcome back to Leadership for Life. Here is your host, Gina Gardner.
Hi there, and welcome back. What an amazing lady, what an amazing guest, and what you think what she's been through, but how she's turned it round. And that's one of the things that so often has been the case with my guests, is that you recognize that when difficult things happen, you have a choice. You can be a victim, or you can choose to use that experience to move you into a different trajectory, one where you become the hero or heroine within your own life story. Now, we are proud members of B1G1, as I said before the break, and that is an organization that is really designed to help other people who, through no fault of their own, are living in very different circumstances. Now, if you're listening to this, the chances are, I do hope so anyway, that you are someone where clean water is something that you take absolutely for granted. You go to the tap and you turn it on. But it strikes me that we're in the 21st century and there are still many, many people who have to walk miles to get water, and even then the water is not safe. So one of the projects that I'm supporting this month through my guests, if they choose that particular project, is giving access to clean water through boreholes. And this is in Turkana, where the rain is a very rare event and the locals often lack water, a reliable water source. So by lending support, you offer people the opportunity to have clean water. Boreholes are drilled, and then instead of having to walk miles to have no clean water for washing and for the crops or for their animals, that they actually have a borehole and they have a tap. They've still got to go and get it. It's not that it's completely easy, but it does mean that they've got a pure source of water, one where mothers aren't going to be worried about feeding their children water that's going to kill them. So I do hope you will support us, not only by coming to listen to the show yourself, but remember that for every 100 people at the moment, what we're doing, for every 100 people who listen to the live show or the download, we are feeding someone that's hungry so that they will go to bed with a full tummy. And that means that children who are well fed can learn, adults who are well fed can work. So please do help us. Now, I want to spend the last few minutes of the show talking to you about Gina Gardner Associates, which is one of my websites. It's leadership for life, if you like, in a website, because there are programs, 1 and 2 day intensive programs or off-the-shelf programs to help you, whether you're a business leader, whether you're a leader within the corporate world, leading your own life and leading a life without limit. We've just spoken to a lady who, to all other intents and purposes, you'd have expected her to have a life where the experiences in her early life would have created limits. But she is someone who has directly chosen to live her life a different way. And that choice is open to all of us. You can choose whether or not you lead that life, or whether you move forward to live a very, very different life. It's always open to you. Moment by moment, you make a choice. So go and have a look at ginagardnerassociates.co.uk and have a look at the resources. There's some free resources on there as well. But have a look at those things. I've got special COVID prices because I know life is difficult. Do go and have a look. The other thing I want to talk to you about is that Genuinely You, which is the overarching company, we're setting up free membership for people to go into the Genuinely You membership site and platform. And there are 3 layers, if you like. There's a lot of free resources. There are some off-the-shelf programs which are very, very inexpensive. And then there are more intense programs where you get an opportunity to work in a group or with me one-on-one. And I would really urge you to go and have a look at those resources too. Also available on YouTube, Genuinely You with Gina Gardner, there is a huge wealth of resources available to you. All of those are for free. Go and have a look at them. If you've never been coached, one of the things that you might do is have a look at the Uncut with Gina and Sukdev series. Series 1 is where people that we didn't know are coached for an hour and that they have breakthroughs, and you can get a sense of what that's like. Please go and visit. You will find that there are playlists designed for a whole range of different things. But go and check it out. Cost you nothing. And there's an enormous amount of help and support there. Ladies, International Women's Day on Monday. Think about the quality of your life. Think about how you are living your life at the moment. And I would ask you the question, are you living your very best possible life? Are you wishing that things could be different? Are you wishing that you had greater opportunities? The reality is that the only person who's going to do something about that is you. If you're waiting for somebody to knock on the door and say, come on, I've got this opportunity for you, the chances are you're going to be disappointed. Why not use today's program and Monday's International Women's Day, if you are a woman, to really do an audit of what your life is like now. And if you're interested in having a white paper with an audit within it, then email me at Gina, Gina, at genuinely-u.com, and I'll send you it perfectly free. But just let us know, and I'll be very happy to send out as many as you care to ask for. And it's giving you some support and principles about helping you do a bit of a stock take, if you like, about your life. What's working well? That's great. You want to protect that. What's not working quite so well? And then some steps that you can take to actually make life better. Denominator. You take yourself into every moment. So how are you going to take charge of your life? We are at a crossroads. We are at a time when you can continue what you've done and you'll get what you got. Interestingly, that Tonya talked about, being prepared to be different, to step out and to be authentically the unique version of you that you are. If you are fearful and you stay stuck in your so-called comfort zone, it's really important that you recognize that that comfort zone is keeping you playing small. The comfort bit's a bit of an illusion, really, because, when they talk about success, there is the need for momentum, the need to be moving forward. And if you're always doing the same old, there is no momentum, there is no development and growth. And in reality, that you start to stultify, it starts to be quicksand that keeps you stuck and ultimately will stop you growing and succeeding. So all of the work that I do is about empowerment of the person as an individual in their personal life, in their family life, in their professional life. If you need some help, please reach out. But ultimately, what I've done is created a huge wealth of free stuff and very reasonable stuff. And then there's the more intensive stuff to suit everybody. So thanks so much for listening. Please do share, get other people to listen to, and remember that you choose the quality of life that you live through your thoughts. And you choose whether or not you want to be a victim or a hero or heroine. Why not choose to be the leader in your own life and take control of it so that you can be the best version of you? Remember, you're the leader in your own life. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye now.
You have been listening to The Leadership for Life with your host, Gina Gardner. Make sure you tune in to W4CY Radio and Talk 4 TV next Thursday and every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for more Leadership for Life. If you missed any part of this episode or just want to hear or see it again, you can find the archive of the TV show on Talk 4 TV's YouTube channel and the podcast of The Leadership for Life on iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever you listen to your podcast.